By the end of the week, mutual attacks intensified. The Russians attacked Kharkov and shelled the Sumy region. The Ukrainian armed forces launched attacks on the Krasnodar territory and annexed Crimea. During the massive attack on Novorossiysk, more than 30 explosions were heard. The occupation authorities of Sevastopol cancelled classes in schools and kindergartens due to rolling blackouts after damage to a local substation located very close to the Balaklava thermal power plant. School classes have also been cancelled in Novorossiysk. The war is approaching, and at this time the rat snuck into Beijing to ask for military help. Panda greeted the warlike monkey with patronizing condescension. She didn't make loud promises, but just smiled and pressed the rebellious animal against the soft loins. The military adventure and sanctions have made Moscow critically dependent on Beijing's decisions. This is the only decisive partner on whom you can still rely. True, not in all cases. And Putin bleated sweetly in front of Xi Jinping, demonstrating his readiness to surrender to China everything he wants in the name of prolonging his bald power. Sanctions are still working, there is less money, schemes are being crossed out one after another. And in this situation, it will no longer be Moscow, but Beijing that will decide where to give a soft back, and where to give a light idiot. Miller has already been given. The Chinese are no longer interested in the power of Siberia too, so Miller did not even fly to Beijing, concentrating on the negotiations in Tehran. Putin brought the whole pack of boys to Beijing. Some high-ranking individuals even did not have enough space in VIP transport, like Soluanov, who was forced to travel on a bus for propaganda servants. Toxic schematics are increasingly reminiscent of an old idiots, rushing around the station shouting, who, but is rejected even by the undemanding clientele. But hysterics in the brothel happen on schedule. As soon as Kyiv asked the states to give permission for American missile strikes on the territory of the cave, Volodin's ass stuck out from Okhotny Riyadh and drew new liquid lines for the West. True, she was unable to tear out anything new after Putin and Medvedev, and the old scares no longer affect anyone. However, for now the Pentagon says that despite the offensive of the racists in the Kharkov region, the United States has not yet changed its position. American weapons should only be used on the territory of Ukraine. And the West itself is systematically preparing for a clash. In the first quarter of 2024, the number of NATO fighter missions to intercept the boys' aircraft increased by more than 20%. And it is already clear that the Kremlin's vigilance will only increase as it seizes more and more Ukrainian territories. Chairman of the U.S. Joint Chiefs of Staff General Charles Brown said that sending NATO instructors to Ukraine now seems inevitable, because, due to a critical shortage of personnel in the armed forces of Ukraine, a request has been made to the United States and NATO allies to help train an additional 150,000 recruits. Also, NATO allies including Britain, Germany and France are working to station defense contractors in Ukraine to help build and repair weapon systems closer to the combat zone. In short, the West is expectedly being sucked into the vortex of war. And, if Putin enlists the support of China, he may rush to Ukraine with renewed vigor. Previously, the strategy of prolonging the war played into the hands of the Kremlin, but now time is starting to work against it. Change Shoigu for Belousov or don't change, there are no qualitatively different personnel in the cave. From bottom to top there are dumb, crooked-armed scoops. In addition, everything has already been stolen before us or with our active participation. The head of Rostec, Chemezov, warns, "We won't last long," referring to long-standing problems and chronic unprofitability of production, while in the West, military production, on the contrary, is increasing in scale. At the same time, Russian agents and corrupt politicians are being identified in Europe. German police raided the office of Peter Bystrom, a leading member of the far-right Alternative for Germany party, in connection with allegations of money laundering and corruption. They say he received money from Russia in exchange for influence. The Bundestag has already voted to lift the deputy's immunity to initiate criminal proceedings. The assassination attempt on Slovak Prime Minister Fico this week gave rise to a wave of propaganda fakes, the sources of which are already being monitored by the European Commission. Big tech platforms could now face fines for failing to combat disinformation. These include platforms X, Meta, Alphabet and others, with more than 45 million monthly active users in Europe. The creep of war can be seen across the European horizon. The cave can't lose, but she must lose. And in this formula is the key to events that are inevitable. The only question is when they will happen.